Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Two Pros Viz Pod thingy-mabobby. It's one of those, we're just taking the world by storm, Joe, aren't we? Visual and audio.
It's a trial. I think again it's nice for people to see what we're hitting, how we're hitting it, some of the numbers behind it, because I think it's easy on the pod to make a strike sound good, but when you're actually seeing what's happening here, hold us accountable to what we're showing as well. And I really like that because we can kind of get behind the product in hand as well.
Yeah, it's driver season. We are on to Callaway. Hope you've seen other videos with TaylorMade and listened as well with the TaylorMade QI 4D, but now we're quantuming.
Yeah, I think the 4D testing was interesting. I think we remarked there was quite a lot of option out there, and yet with this there's even more, so there's going to be 5 heads in this lineup. One thing I will say, QI 4D will take a bit of beating. Yeah, it's going to take some moving, because I think the core head is standard. What we're going to be testing in this will take some beating for it. I think it was pretty good. I'm intrigued to see what this does, but looks wise, I'm well behind it. I quite like the grey.
I think we talked about before, doing a little bit of your first drive, the Razor. Was it Razor X?
Yeah, Razor X, my first Callaway driver.
It's got kind of vibes of that. It's a lot cleaner, isn't it, than the Elite? Because I know people commented last year on the Elite that it looked a bit more budget drive than it actually looked an Elite driver.
Yeah, I think that it's very close to kind of what people used to say about the Ping G425.
Yeah.
It didn't sound great, but it did well. The Elite probably didn't quite have the same shelf appeal, but what it did was brilliant. Yeah. If this can do what the Elite did, it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing what it does and how it goes about it. Looks wise, brilliant. We're back on that carbon fibre crown that the AI Smoke had. So we aren't talking a forged carbon crown on it, so it's not quite as marbled as the the base isn't forged carbon, so it's not quite as smoky as the other one was. But I really like that carbon fibre look across the top. I think it's something Callaway have done well over the last few years.
Probably the best looking shiny driver. We both like a matte head.
Yes, I'm not a huge fan of gloss heads, but that does look like something I could get behind. I do like the monochromatic look of it, kind of black, greys, silvers. The touch of red I don't mind, but I've just never been a huge lover of colourful drivers. Same as we said with the QI 4D, the red face, the blue face, it never really worked for me. But this just looks like a really, really solid option as far as heads go. There's nothing too fancy in between them as well, so they kind of keep that look. And I just think it's going to be a really interesting one to test.
It is. Something that we both commented on there, that a little bit fiddly, the weight port at the back.
Yeah, I think the one thing kind of Callaway have done well is on the Elite, especially the 3 set weights.
Yeah, because we've got one here, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got one in, and I think those 3 weight ports, a draw, a fade and a neutral setting, worked really well. With the Quantum Max we've got neutral and draw, so a little bit more limited. Was something we said in the QI 4D that I quite like, that fade port in there. There's players that hit the ball left that need a little bit of help, so that for me is probably something that's maybe missing in this. Whether we get that in the triple diamond version, we're not quite sure yet. But yeah, just to change around a little bit trickier than I would like personally. We recalled, like with the others, it's quite quick change stuff. It's almost like F1 teams now. In a fitting, you want to be able to whip it out, put it back in and go again. We've both tried it, we've both dropped a piece of it, and it's something I'd be a little bit wary of. But generally, if that's all I've got to grumble about, I can work with that. It's not going to be too bad. We're still on kind of the OptiFit hosel that I think's worked really well for Callaway. It presents a lot of option, probably a little bit more than some other brands with the draw and the neutral settings with as much loft change as there is. So I think generally they've kept a lot of the good. They've not really hurt it too much in terms of the look from the top. I think that looks really strong. I just think it's a great start for driving.
It's a bit AI Smoke, and if you remember the C4, C4 on the top as well, doesn't it?
It's the first time we've seen this kind of what we class as kind of primer grey colour too. We've seen it in cars, and I think it's something that's starting to become more popular. It looks quite sleek, and I think it draws the eye to the bits that are needed with where the weights are and kind of the adjustable bits to it. So I'm really intrigued, so we'll try and jump into a few.
Come on, Joe, see how you go on. And we're going to be showing you and talking about really some comparisons as well. We've just done the 4D from TaylorMade, so we're going to be kind of comparing. We're going to use the same setup, TP5s, GC Quad, and see how we get on in terms of numbers.
I'm intrigued by this. I think I've liked Callaway drives in the past. I really quite like the AI Smoke, the original Paradigm. I think there's some good drives out there. Generally, for me, Callaway have just been a strong brand this last few years, and I think they'll continue that. So this for me, stock standard 9-degree head, Fujikura Pro 2.0 7x shaft in it. It's what I was fitted for Callaway a few years back, and I've kind of kept that with whatever I've played. Tinkered around with a lighter version, but quite like what this does just for tempo. It's not the longest hitting shaft I've had, but it does feel nice and controlled. So just a quick trigger warning as well, this will be a bit loud again, just in case anybody's got headphones in, we're going to get a jump scare.
Oh. You know, it does sound, Joe, it's really solid, meaty.
Yeah, it's a little bit louder than maybe some we've heard this year. He's got that little bit of a crack to it, but again, I'll quite happily open the account at 297 yards. I'm not going to grumble too much about that. Certainly something that I do like with it. It feels like it pops up off the face nice and easy.
Yeah.
There has been a bit of a change to the face this year as well, with the polymer insert behind it, so we've seen that kind of wavy face behind it. This time they put some kind of polymer in behind it as well, and it's sandwiched together with a real strong, like, Air Force glue, if you like, and it does make it feel a little bit softer. And I think that's something that links up quite a lot with the driver. Sound plays so much into feel.
It does.
And it feels quite fast off that. It sounds quite crisp. Again, we've seen 2,000 RPM backspins, maybe just a hair lower where we'd maybe want it in a perfect world, but carried 275 and out at 300, so a great start for it, because it's quite an honest flight as well for a ball that's gone a little bit right. Jump into another and just see what we've got out of it. I said almost exactly the same shot, again a little bit further right. Almost the same as the QI4D, just I tend to block the ball a little bit.
It's in play, kid, don't it?
I've never been a fan of that flippy left one, that always scares me as a player. I don't like to see that because I haven't got much control over it. With this I know it's going to land, it's going to stop a little bit quicker. It's maybe a little bit more extreme than I'd like, but again 2,300 RPM, 153 mile an hour ball speed. It's doing what it needs to do.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can keep this one a little bit straighter. Yeah, a little bit better. That turned it over a fraction more, a little bit lower, so I'd expect the spin to jump down a bit. But out there again, 302. Quite happy with that as far as 3 shots go for what I'm looking for out of it.
We've looked at 2 brands here, and I think the big takeaway for me so far is the forgiveness factor's there with both of them.
I think we said before, if TaylorMade say it's fast, it's going to be fast.
Yeah.
If Pink say it's going to be forgiving, it's forgiving. I think something Callaway have always done really well is kind of blended the two.
Yeah.
That feels easy to hit compared to some, and I think the ball speed numbers of what it's doing, 157 again for me, one of the faster ball speeds that I've had. I think if that's going to be a blueprint for what's to come, then it's going to be great.
Similar setup to Joe, not at all. 10.5 degree head and a Denali, just regular stiff shaft in mine. So do not move it anywhere.
I think the Denali's been such a strong shaft this year, though. Again,
is this stock?
Yeah, this is stock.
Cool.
So I think the one thing that we are starting to get away from in a lot of driver fits now, we're starting to get away from the upcharged shaft.
Yeah.
There's certain players now that I've known, again, like that. I've got a Callaway fitting on it. If I'm putting a Callaway driver into play, that's the shaft I'm going with, and it usually works pretty well. I've got my TaylorMade preference, I've got my Shrixon preference for stuff that works with it. But the Denali has been such a strong shaft. The Ventus has been so strong. The actual stock of core shafts now, I don't really think there's many players that are going to need to venture outside of what we produce normally.
Just a bit of a trigger warning on sound, but also trigger warning on numbers. We did a couple before we started recording, Joe, and it was interesting, wasn't it?
This intrigued me for you because it was quite a big difference.
Just feels a solid drive.
I mean, people see that for the first one. I mean, he's done exactly what we saw in a little bit of pre-testing, just rolled out just a hair short 280. We hit the QI4D kind of 265 to 270.
And that felt harder work the the 4D did, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be the message that we pass on to a lot of people in fittings, is that there is going to be so much personal preference in these fittings these days.
Bit bottomy.
But again, I wouldn't have known that had you not have told me.
Yeah.
And that, again, it's out there at 264.
That's going to be the bad one.
And I think that's where again, I'd be passing this information on to any player. That's what you should be getting fit off. Your good one, great, fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's no use if you lose the next 4 balls.
Exactly.
That one, you've hit a little bit lower off the face, so we saw the spin kind of sit at 2,500 on the first one.
Yeah.
It's jumped up to 3,000. So the bottom one, it's jumped up a little bit. The story we saw with QI4D was that doesn't happen quite as much. But in this scenario, I don't mind that because it's going to keep it a bit straighter.
Yeah.
So what it's going to do is reduce the amount of the element of side spin, to kind of reduce that spin axis a little bit as well.
Exactly.
I mean,
feels fast, Joe.
The one thing I will say, and for anybody that saw the kind of previous on the QI4D, I don't know what you think to the looks of that, but it looks like you're swinging it with more confidence.
Yeah, but I'm exactly the same with you with this.
Yeah.
Way around. I think you move the TaylorMade better.
If you get a club that you like the look of fundamentally and feel like you can swing it, we said it about the LS and the QI4D, was that if you're trying to control strike, you're naturally going to be slower.
Yeah.
If you've got something that you look at and go, yeah, you know what, I like the look of it, I'm going to give it some, knowing that you can get away with the miss, I think that's going to be great. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. We'll have a tinker in a moment and kind of play about with a few different settings on it and kind of go through a mini fit just to see what kind of comes out of it. But certainly as a stock model, I think that's going to be a brilliant head for a player again.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to see with this, we've seen so many between the Triple Diamond Max, the Max D and the Max Fast. Same as QI4D, we've got 4 ranges. I wouldn't be overly surprised if you walk into your pro shop and see core product everywhere.
Yeah.
I think this as a stock standard product is going to be very, very good again, compared to, again, maybe being a little bit critical on the fitting element, but again, with a player, I'd want to kind of set that up. I wouldn't want him to change it too much. Nothing worse than tinkering.
Yeah.
It still beats a sliding weight for me where you can't keep it in the same place, but it's just a little bit less robust than some. But if that's all we've got to moan about and they're the numbers, I can forgive a little bit of a tricky fitting setup than that. I wouldn't certainly not have it because of that.
Yeah.
But what that's done for you has been a massive comparison to the two.
Yeah.
Really impressed with that. It's a great start.
And didn't mention before when we talked about this new Triforce face, bit of carbon in there, yeah?
Yeah, there's a little carbon. We keep seeing people sneak carbon in, and it's the story that we see. The lighter the head can be made, the more influential that weight gets. So what we're starting to see now is that if you can make the shell of the driver dead light and be able to position the weights in a relevant spot, then it's brilliant. And I think that's going to be something that we're going to see more and more of. And I'll be intrigued to see what kind of adjustability there is within the weights, if there's going to be tinkerable weights. But I'm really impressed with it. I think
it was really good.
Looks wise, just phenomenal driver. Performance wise, I'm happy with it for myself. I'm over the moon with it for you.
Yeah.
I really like it, and I think it's going to be another great mover.
And the head cover is very similar to this grey.
Yes, yeah, another grey head cover. Maybe a little bit more simplistic.
Yeah.
Not quite as textured as the 4D. Quantum up the middle.
Yeah.
The feel of it's great though. Again, it's premium, and it's something we said before. If you're spending that kind of money, you're buying the car, you want the seats. Yeah. The head covers are good, and I'll give them that. I think it does play into it, but it's going to be a really distinct head cover if it's sitting in your bag as well.
I don't know if you've tested it yet, but I've seen it on another review. They've got like a little almost grab bit at the top. So underneath that's got a little bit of fur lining inside the grab bit, so you can pull the driver head cover.
I'm a fan. Again, ease is a massive part of it.
And premium, isn't it? Bit of fleece inside.
Absolutely.
Nice.
It's these little bits that kind of quantify the purchase. Again, we're looking in the kind of 500s. We aren't entirely sure yet. But what I would say is that if that's just done that, the one thing I will say, having tested 2 drivers this year, is if you're going in for Callaway, test a TaylorMade. If you're going in for TaylorMade, test a Callaway as well.
Yeah.
I think it is, if you're booking a slot, don't go in to get fit for a brand of driver. Go and get fit for a driver and try everything, because like that, I thought the QI was pretty good for you.
Yeah.
That's just stunned me and what that can do.
I know, just messing about really on that, and it's like, okay, this is different.
And we've started in almost exactly the same specs, and it's done exactly what we needed to do. So there's nothing changed in that. It is just what you feel more comfortable with.
But that justifies a fit, though, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Got to go, guys. If you're spending this kind of money out there, please come and see Joe, or go into your local pro and get fit and try. As Joe brilliantly said, try them all.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, like we said, that the amount of shafts that are out there now is stock standard. There's 5 or 6 general different shafts, different weights, different flexes within them. you've got to try. You've got to get fitted. The key for me now is it's almost like winning the lottery. If you happen to be unlucky enough to be a 10.5 Denali stiff like that with neutral standard and the weight in neutral, great. But 99% of players probably won't be, and it'll be really intriguing to see what happens when we test that. And go in and be picky. That's the best thing you can do, and that just goes to show why trying different things works. Going to be an interesting little test this, because we've got the Max, we've got the Max D, that's the draw version. So what we've done with this, we tested when we actually tried these side by side, we've tried it with a neutral weight, neutral standard loft on them both. What we've done with yours there, you've got the actual Max in there, draw weight with the drawer on the Optifit hosel. For myself, I've gone with the Quantum Max D, that is the draw version. There's no adjustable weight in this because they've tried to get the weight. Yeah, oh, absolutely. When you kind of look at that, you can start to see that here we haven't got, I mean, it's better from this angle, we haven't got that adjustable weight port that we have here. So that's going to make a huge difference. So the actual weight is down in this bottom section here for me. And I've actually got this at drawer on the Optifit hosel. I blocked everything in the previous video. I'm going to be really intrigued to see if that is actually going to be worthwhile testing. I'm intrigued to see what it does.
Show us what it does. And again, trigger warning, this is not Joe's setup. Joe wouldn't play this.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
But for people who struggle with that right miss,
oh, this is going to be helpful. So in theory, this is as max draw as we can get it. So it should help a little bit, this. I'm expecting this to go left. Wow. Yeah, so there we go, we've seen that little bit of turnover in it. You know what, not as much as I thought.
No.
I mean, again, I've just hit everything right for the last hour, so it's going to be interesting in this, but straight out the gate, 292 out of a forgiving head.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that.
Sounded solid, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I've always found with forgiving drivers, they always tend to sound a little bit like a frying pan. The footprint changes the sound a bit. With that, I didn't really notice that it did.
Meaty. And that's
so, I mean,
the Callaways.
2,200 RPM of spin, 450 RPM of side spin, so that axis is just tilted slightly. Carried 271 for 292. I mean, that for me is near perfect numbers, really.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. And actually, visually, I did remark it looks a little bit closed.
Yeah.
I'd expect out of a draw-by driver, believe it or not, but I think it doesn't look too bad. Actually.
It's not going back to the old days of the oversized.
Oh, it's not offset or anything like
and
that.
all that
No,
kind of stuff, is
it's
it?
just visually a little bit closed. Now I've bottomed that a little bit, and you know what? That's the ball that we've seen in other tests, a little bit low heely, kind of shoot off right.
Yeah.
Ball's still gone left. It's still out there at 283. It might be a gamer. You never know. But I'm really impressed by that because it just feels so stable.
Yeah.
And what they tend to see in a lot of these is that when we've got a driver, I'm intrigued by yours, where that weight drops into the heel, where the toe starts to feel a bit flimsy, so it feels like it's going to flip.
Yeah.
I've always been a bit worried about that, said in the previous part as well. I'm a really awkward player to kind of fit because I don't like seeing the ball miss right. I really don't like seeing it miss left. I want to hit it pretty much straight every time. It's what I preach doesn't exist. But yeah, I like that where it doesn't feel volatile for a draw bias driver. Probably actually one of the best draw bias drivers I think I've ever hit.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Wow.
That felt great. And again, it's done exactly what we'd expect it to do. Little draw.
And I think for you, you can tell that side spin has such an impact because it is dropping out of the air, isn't it?
It doesn't hold quite as much. You can see where something that's drawing closes the face a little bit, takes a bit of loft off. You will see a little drop in side spin. I mean, backspin there, 2,400, it's maintaining. I am really, really blown away by that. I will say now, if you're a better player that misses it right and doesn't want to, that is a very legitimate option to try.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of a lot of drivers now, because it's the vanity thing, isn't it, as well, with a lot of golfers, where they want something that doesn't look forgiving or doesn't look, again, starter kind of golf.
Yeah, it's where players' distances come in well. It looks like a blade, but it doesn't perform like one.
Yeah.
And that, for me, doesn't look so bad from the top.
No.
I could put that in play. I'll be honest, I'm really impressed by that because forgiveness-wise, it's there. it's got an engine under the hood. It does what it's kind of set out to do, and I think because of how it looks, it doesn't look massively off-putting either.
Yeah.
It's certainly no worse than we've seen with other brands in the past.
It's a good
I'm really intrigued by that. I'm really intrigued to see what this does as well, because I think this is going to be probably the fit that maybe more players go for.
So this is stock head now, isn't it?
Stock head, weight in the draw position, but the actual cog is on draw as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what happens with this. So this is the most draw you can make a Quantum Max before you get into this. And again, off the back of the Quantum Max video, you absolutely nailed this anyway.
I just think I don't know. I think some drivers, and probably people listening and watching, will think this as well. There's some drivers you just put down and you think, I'm going to absolutely muller this.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I think this is where we've said in previous ones as well, it's going to be so individual. Just because your mate's got one doesn't mean you need one. I'm blown away by, especially with both settings in that, the consistency with it.
Yeah.
Again, they're knocking out at 280. We're finding a 15-yard gain on the QI. I think for me, the QI was probably my slight preference in the core mod.
Yeah.
But seeing what you're doing with this just goes to show that both products are going to be absolutely fantastic.
That was a bit Terry.
You see again, off the flight. It's always something I kind of joke about in a fitting or a lesson with players where you kind of go, I want you to hit one that you moan about and your playing partners don't understand why.
Yeah.
If we can do that and confuse your playing partners as to why that's a bad shot, that's 270, inside 10 yards left to target, and yet we're looking at, it's a little bit toey.
Yeah.
That for me is what a good fitting's about. Now what we have done with yourself there is we tested the Quantum Max and the Quantum Max in the most draw setting. There's multiple other settings within that we could probably fine tune a little bit further, and I think it'd be a great chance to have a deep dive on these and have a look at it and see just what we do with it. But it goes to show exactly why players need to go and get fit, because somewhere between them two, I mean, they've both done something very, very close, just in case fine tuning.
And that's it, isn't it? You look more at the spin numbers, you look more at the side spin numbers.
Yeah, you dial it in a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's not about kind of mass change, it's about fine tuning, finding a little 1%. You find 10% on a driver when you've not been fitted for it.
Yeah.
You find 5% when you've been maybe fitted for one a few years ago. And then when you start to get fitted on the OptiFit hosel and the weights, that's where you find a little 1%, but they can add up.
Yeah, they can. Love this. Really, honestly, really enjoyed hitting it. We've hit the TaylorMade and the Callaway today so far, and really impressive. As we said, just not a massive fan of the back port here with the weight, just fiddly. But I think if you can get over that, like Joe said before, you're going to go to your pro, you're going to get fit, and then you're going to leave that alone.
Yeah, it would be my honest preference that once that is fittable, I'd love them to round the screw off and leave it be.
Yeah,
if that's what you've been fitted for, just play it, because it makes life so much easier. And I think it is that temptation to tinker again, like you say, players don't want to play it in draw, they want to play it in neutral, but they need to play it in draw.
Yeah.
And that's something I do like with that draw by his head, is that it is a draw by his head and that's it. It's going to play like that, and if you like it or don't, you can't change it.
Not too faffy.
Yeah, it's great. It's going to be fantastic. But both that we've tried, they're really, really powerful drivers.
It didn't go off the planet though. That's what I loved about the draw ahead. It didn't go off the planet.
Yeah, it's not 70 yards left, and that's what I've found with all the ones in the past. Like I say, I'm not usually a huge lover of the draw by his head, but it's really impressed me. I'm really quite keen on it. I'm intrigued to see how that fits into kind of my guys and the people I fit on a day-to-day basis. I think that's going to be a more popular head than we maybe first thought.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Joe. Thank you everybody for listening and watching. We'll see you again soon.